Hey, so today I want to be looking at creating a web page, but instead of taking the normal approach of trying to teach you a lot of syntax, and I want to take more of a systems architecture approach. And I wanted to start thinking about more what makes a website work. Okay, and so when you think about what makes a website work, it comes really down to three different files: the HTML, the CSS, and JavaScript. Now, the HTML, you can think of it as the skeleton of your web page. Now, in a long time ago, when the web first came out, we only really had HTML. And so our web pages were static, they were kind of boring looking. And they were just kind of like almost like Word documents being served up between each other. As time went on, we started adding different kinds of languages and protocols into HTML that work in concert with HTML to make the web come alive, to make it something that's interactive, give you a user experience, change things, buttons that you can click on, so forth. All those things come through because of the advent of JavaScript. JavaScript is like the brains of your web page. It's where you can actually do programming, put in code that actually makes development happen. CSS is the skin that's on top of all this. This is what the look is. So when you're looking at a user experience on a web page, it's going to be a combination of CSS, the aesthetics, and then the JavaScript, the functionality, the interactions. And this is all going to be put together by HTML. And so whenever we're making a web page, we need to actually create three different files: HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Now, instead of today going through syntax of three different languages and how those all work, to get started with web development, I'd rather you think about the big picture. And so today we're going to do a big picture thing, and we're going to be using AI to generate all the syntax for our code. And the AI that we're going to be using today is Meta AI. So if you go to meta.ai, you're going to get access to LLaMA. It's their large language model, which works like other large language models out there, like ChatGPT, Mistral, Gemini, the Anthropic, Claude. So you have all these different versions out there. But in general, the way these large language models work is that they are trained on large data sets of text, and they try to predict the next word that comes up in its sentence through a neural network. And we can go, I mean, you can talk about this for long periods of times, but basically what the simplest way you can think about it is that it's a machine that you put a prompt in and then something comes out. Now, in between, there was a lot of mechanics and training that happens that gives it a lot of abilities. One ability that Meta AI and all the large language models has is that they're able to code. So we can generate the code that we need for our web page through Meta AI and then use it in an interactive development environment to display a web page. Now, today I want to create a web page. So I'm going to say, I want to make a web page in HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. You need to be specific, because if you don't give it full specificity, tell it that you want these types of languages, it might try to venture off and try to use something that's very advanced. We're trying to use very simple coding languages here. So HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I want to make a web page, and for the web page I'm going to generate today is I want to have a little bit of fun with this. So I'm going to make the game Snake. So I want to make a web page in HTML, JS, CSS that allows the user to play the game Snake. Okay, so this is, the classic arcade game. Now, you can give it some additional things in the prompt to go ahead and preemptively think what you want the game to look like. So you can say, for example, in the game, I want the snake to be green and the apple to be red. For those who don't know what the game Snake is, basically you have a snake that is moving around the screen that you're controlling with your arrows. Maybe I put that. I want to control the snake with arrows, with my arrow keys. Okay? You control it with your arrow keys. And as the snake moves, you can do like left, right turns. And the goal is to eat as many apples as you can. Now, when you eat an apple, a new apple appears, but then also your snake grows. And so as you eat apples, your snake gets longer and longer. Now, you're trying to avoid eating yourself. So if you run into yourself, the game is over. Also, if you run into the wall of the game area. So you can put here, I want the game area to have a wall around it. Okay, now let's talk about score. Each time you eat an apple, you get a point. So I want there to be a running score of the apples ate. And when the game is over, I want confetti to rain across the game area and to display the amount of apples that were eaten. Okay, so I think we're getting pretty specific. Now, here's the thing that happens whenever you're working with large language models. Typically, in large language models, you want to be very specific, and you want to give it a lot of context and a lot of instructions, and you'll get a better outcome. So you can see here, like, this is like some basics and kind of like a prompt engineering, is where I'm very, very detailed and specific. Now, after I run this and generate code, whatever I generate is going to become part of the context, and so I can keep on prompting it to generate more code, based off of the results. So I can generate code, test it, see what things the game's like, and then come back, iterate, tell it, give it feedback, and it will regenerate code and edit the code to what I asked for, and then I can come back and forth until I'm happy and I get a releasable product. So I'm gonna go here and go ahead and generate this. When I hit enter, it's gonna go through and generate code. Now, if it asks you to log in, you don't have to log in with Meta AI because they have ability for you to use it without logging in, but you do need to put down your birth year. Now, if you put your birth year as under 18, it's not gonna let you use it. So if you're under 18 years old, I would like you to ask your parents to use Meta AI, and then that way they could go ahead and use their birthday. Okay, so now that this is generated, you can see here, what did it create? It created 3 files: index.html, styles.css, and javascript.js. Those 3 files, if you remember from earlier, are the 3 components of the web page that we need. Now, we could take these 3 components and put them together into an interactive development environment in order to code it. Okay, so here I got nice code. Now, how do I run the code? That's the next question. This is where you need to use an IDE. Now, there's a lot of IDEs out there, a lot of interactive development environments that you can use. One that's available in the web is Phoenix Code. So if you type phcode.dev, so .dev, phcode, Phoenix Code, it will take you to an online interactive development environment, so you don't have to download something. So this was kind of nice about this. Whenever you get here, you want to start a project with HTML5. So I click on it, it's going to ask me, where do I want to put the folder? I select a folder, and I can go ahead here and make a folder. So I'm just going to click on new folder, and I'm going to call it snake. Okay, and then I have myself a blank folder. Okay, you can put this folder wherever you want. Now, whenever you say create project, it's going to give you some boilerplate code, which is basically a very basic index, JavaScript, and CSS. And you can see here that this boilerplate code is just basically a hello world with a click me button. Okay, now we're going to replace the code here because the architecture is here for us. We're going to replace the code with the code that was generated with meta.ai. So if I go over to meta.ai and I scroll back up, I can see here I have my index.html right here. So I'm going to click on the copy content to clipboard, the copy button, which will copy all this code right here. Now whenever I go over to my snake game, index.html here, I just select index.html file, and then I want to select everything here, and then I want to paste over it, okay? So now I pasted over it with my new code. Then I go over into the style sheets, and I scroll down here, and I can see here there's a couple style sheets here. Rules, I copy this, I go over to styles, again I select everything, and then I paste, okay? Now you can already start seeing the website being built out here, huh? You see the black line that's coming in for the game canvas, right? Now we want to now put the engine, right? The brains. Here's the JavaScript file. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, and you can, if you have some time, you can read through this and see what's going on here and try to edit code directly yourself, so you can try to understand it. We do have a little bit of a problem here, is that you can see here we have reached the word limit for our prompt. Okay, so what I can do is just write the word continue. Okay, and then what it's going to do is actually pick up where it left off and start prompting the rest of the way. So that's the way that you can, finish off your code. Now, if you go here and go ahead and copy this to the clipboard and go to the JavaScript, you don't have the full thing because our prompt was a little too long, right? But that's why you have to go back over to Meta and then get that second prompt that came up here, see? And copy it. And then you can start, see it starts a case arrow down. So you just go here, case arrow down, you just delete that part and paste over it. And then you get the full game, okay? So let's see if this is going to work now. Sometimes it doesn't work the first time. Okay, seems like it's kind of working, huh? Great. Now, if I hit here, so whenever you get yours, by the way, you might not see it like this right away, or as mine, because everyone's, even if you type the exact same prompt as me, everyone's code's gonna come out a little bit different because it's actually unique original code. So now, let's see, I'm having a little bit of an issue. Let's see if my arrows are working. Great. So I've noticed if I click on my game area, my arrows work. Now let's see if I can catch the apple. Oh, missed it. Great. You see how the snake grew? Perfect. So things, now I'm testing the game, right? I can see that the snake's growing. Oh, I keep on missing it. Let's try this again. Nice. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna keep on playing this all day, huh? Well, let's have the snake eat itself now and see what happens. Okay, so let's say, oh, am I long enough? Oh. So you see, I ate myself, so I lost the game, right? The game's over. I got my score of a 7. Now to restart the game, I just have to hit refresh. So it's kind of interesting. Maybe that might be a user interaction that we want. We might want to have some kind of start game button, okay? So maybe that's something that we could think about. So what I can go now to get the prompt to work very well again is that I could copy this whole JavaScript again. I find it works better this way because it helps reinforce it, okay? So I got the whole thing back here and say, for this game, I would like there to be a start button and there to be a play again button at the beginning. Maybe I say, I have to be careful how I say this, because remember, you want to be very specific. For this game, I want there to be a start button at the beginning, and there to be a play button, a play again button at the end. Okay, so you see now I'm thinking about different types of user interactions and experiences that I would want to have. And so now it's telling me, oh, okay, I need to actually update the HTML as well to add these buttons, right? And so I can actually have to go here, and so it's actually being smart enough to tell me that. Update this. You see now it's a start game button. It seems like it's starting on its own. Okay, but then now let's go over to the Meta AI, and get the JavaScript. Again, we have this problem with it not being able to finish, so I just say continue. Now, this is one way of just copying and pasting full blocks of code. If you want to be a little bit more smart about it, you could tell the Meta AI to just give you the code snippets and explain what to change. And then that might give you actually a better, better way of learning it. So I took that first part there, right? And so then I go to the second part, which starts at CTX fill style. So I just go back over here, and I look for CTX fill style, and I paste over it. And so that gives me the whole thing. Now we come back over here. Let's refresh the game. Now if I click on start game, it started. Now it says play again. Oof, you can see things started breaking on me. So just adding a button is actually causing a lot of problems here. This is where if you take a more surgical approach to it and say, just tell me how to add the button, you might have a better result. Now, if you end up going down one of these bad rabbit holes and things aren't working as good for you, remember, edit undo is your best friend. So you just hit edit undo, and then you go over back to the JavaScript file, edit undo. This one you have to undo twice, maybe 3 times, one more time. Great, and that gets us back to how we were. Now if I go back here, refresh, I'm back to my good old game that I had before. I did notice that I have to kind of click sometimes on here to get the keys to work. So sometimes you don't have as much luck, but if you click on here, live preview, what's nice is that this brings it up into its own web browser. Okay, and then maybe you might have a little bit better luck getting it to work here. So right now I'm having some issues with my arrows. It might be that I have to go here and check what's going on with this key presses, because I have here a listener for the keys. But anyways, the point I'm getting at is that you can generate these 3 things. What I would like you to do is to try this out. Try the other games, someone told me that they tried an asteroid game before, so you can say here, now I would like to play asteroid, generate the code in CSS, HTML, JS. Now what's nice about this is as you keep working with it longer and longer in the same conversation, it does go back and look at what you've done in the past. And so you can end up going and being less specific after, because it uses the context from previous ones. So here I'm gonna go here and say new start a project. I went and saved this project. I go and start a new project, HTML5. I'm gonna go ahead and select a folder. I'll go up to my last directory. I'm gonna call this one asteroid. Okay, select. I'm going to create the project, and it's the same thing. Go index, select all, edit, paste, right? Then we're going to move on to the style sheet, Meta AI. Go here, copy this, select all, got the style sheet. Now go over here to JavaScript. You see, had the problem. Go ahead and type continue. Let that generate. Go to JavaScript. Paste the first part. Get some syntax errors. That's more than fine because the rest of it's getting. I see that we're starting off here on case arrow left. It finished. I go ahead and copy this. And then I go here, select over caseR left, paste, the rest of it. Everything looks good now. I go ahead, save all, and then click on the index, click on the lightning bolt for a preview, trust and execute, and now we have our game with Asteroid. Well, I can see a problem now that's happening. You see every time I start the game, I start with the asteroid right on top of me. And so this is where the issues come in. These are the bugs. So then you go and you tell that AI, maybe not put asteroids next to me, and you generate new code and keep on working that way and that way. Anyways, I hope that you learned something from this. Again, it doesn't have to be always games. You can think about other kinds of web pages too. You'll be able to generate that as well. Make me a website, that does basic addition, basic arithmetic, say, as a calculator, right? And then it's going to go and generate the same thing, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for you to create a calculator. So, this doesn't have to be, of course, it could be chess even. You make your own chess game. So anyways, try to experiment with this. Again, generate the 3 files, take those 3 files, paste them into your phoenixcode.dev and see what happens. In future videos, I'll start looking at looking at how you guys could host these things on the internet. But for now, keep it as a local development so you can kind of just practice and fine-tune your skills. Anything that you don't understand, you can go through here and ask it, So, hey, this code block, explain it to me. And the AI does a pretty good job translating this into just normal language that you can read and understand. If this comes out too complicated to you, and you're saying, oh man, they're using too much lingo, explain it to me like I am a 4th grader. And it's going to break it down and try to make it a little bit easier to understand. If this is even so confusing, say kindergartner. It's up to you, okay? And then what you can do is, as you're experimenting with this, you can come back to Meta AI and keep on talking, hey, tutor me through this, help me through this. This will really help you develop your programming skills and maybe take a different approach than most, where you're just learning syntax at first. Here, you're actually building whole projects at once. So anyways, good luck. Let me know what you think about this, and stay tuned. Next video coming out will help you post one of your finished products up on the internet for everyone to use.